Okay, well, I have 4 o'clock on the dot here. We might have a few more people kind of trickling in, but let's go ahead and get going here. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Southern California PGA Launchpad webinar series presented by the SCPGA Education Committee. My name is Bryce Seaver. I'm the Communications Manager for the Southern California PGA, and today, as you've already heard, I'm filling in for John Kulo. Happy to see Tom Sun on here with us on his vacation time. Couple quick housekeeping items before we begin. If you have any questions, go ahead and just type them into the chat box. I'll keep an eye on that throughout the presentation, and we'll save those for the very end, at which point we'll open it up and we'll have a little bit of a discussion and a Q&A session at the very end. So without further ado, today I'm pleased to introduce our speaker, Nikki Prichard, who is the Director of Golf at Arrowwood Golf Course. Today, Nikki will be discussing the business value of customer relations. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Nikki, and you can go get us started here.
Awesome. Thank you, Bryce. And hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here helping you all through the process of getting that portfolio done as quickly as possible. So today we're going to be talking about customer relations. Go ahead and move on over here. So just a quick introduction on who I am. I'm the Director of Golf at Arrowwood, as Bryce mentioned. I've been a PGA member since October 2019. I'm a former collegiate golfer from the University of Nevada in Reno, and I train my staff in customer relations on a daily basis. It's something we take pride in as our customer service here at Arrowwood. We send surveys out to our customers every time they play, and one of the biggest compliments we get is our customer relations. So we're super proud of that. I'm going to go over the learning outcomes a little bit, but first I wanted to let you guys know that this is a pretty, it's not a super challenging section in your portfolio, and it's going to be a pretty short presentation. But that being said, it is really important because it's something we deal with every day. Golf is a customer service focused business, and without happy customers, we will not succeed as a business. So I would like to leave plenty of time at the end also to go over your experiences and also any questions you might have. So while I'm going through the presentation, please think about your facility and any experiences that you've had with customer relations. So our learning outcomes are to understand the business value of customer relations, to describe the components of the PGA customer relations model, define and identify moments of truth in the context of staffing, systems, and resources, to utilize the 4 interaction strategies in a variety of routine and challenging customer situations, to utilize the 7 interpersonal skills in a variety of routine and challenging customer situations, and to initiate the PGA experience using a systematic engagement routine. So probably what you're all more focused on is the work experience activities that are in your portfolio. So there's 2 of them for customer relations. Number 1 is moments of truth at a facility, and number 2 is strategies and skills at my own facility. So for the first activity that you have, you'll be identifying moments of truth at a facility. So a moment of truth occurs anytime a customer has the opportunity to evaluate a facility's products and services. Customers begin recording their experience within 5 seconds of arriving on property. And honestly, I think it actually starts even before they arrive on property, when they see signs for golf courses and when they're driving up to the facility. So it's important that we, as my wonderful boss, Tom Sun, always says, take your blinders off, because you know, every single thing that you see or that the customer sees at the golf course affects their experience that day. So there's 2 different types of moments of truth. There's interactive and non-interactive. So pretty self-explanatory. Interactive is when a customer interacts with an employee. That could be a cart attendant helping a customer with his or her bag. Could also be a greeting in the golf shop when food is delivered, or even your tone of voice when you're talking to them on the phone. Non-interactive will be when it occurs independently of employees. So that could be signage, welcome to Arrowwood sign at the entrance. Could be carts when they're staged with scorecards, presentation of food or getting your correct food order, and also having a nice orderly golf shop. Okay, so key elements of moments of truth. So there's 3 different elements with that: staffing, systems, and resources. So you can have positive and negative moments of truth with each of those elements. So I'll give examples of each one to help you. And also, again, think of your facility and any that you have to share at the end. So for staffing, a cart attendant was readily available to help a customer get back from a car. That's a positive staffing moment of truth. A negative staffing moment of truth could be that nobody's at the register ready to help a customer at the golf shop or the restaurant. Systems, a negative systems moment of truth would be a customer's tee time was double booked due to a glitch in online booking. That happens to us every once in a while, so learning to deal with that. A positive systems moment of truth is having an easy to use online booking system. An example of a positive resource moment of truth is something that we've done somewhat recently is installing signage on the street leading up to the golf course or parking area entries and just having good signage. A negative resources moment of truth could be maybe you ran out of scorecards, something like that. Okay, so this is our interaction strategies model here. So for activity 2, we'll be walking through different interaction strategies. You will need to know the 4 different ones and how to use each one depending on different customer situations. Each interaction strategy has an accompanied desired outcome and degree of control for the employee and for the customer. So we'll start with a directing strategy, which has the highest amount of employee control and the lowest initiative from customers. So we'll finish with a supporting strategy, which has the lowest degree of employee control and the highest initiative from the customer. So it'll make more sense as we give examples of each one. So for directing strategy, I just came up with some examples that have happened here at Arrowwood, and I'm sure have happened at your facility as well, or something similar. So directing strategy, a golfer drives his cart into a restricted area and your GPS alerts you. You go out to the course to politely ask the customer not to enter restricted areas in order for the course to stay in good condition. Our desired outcome is compliance from the customer, and the interpersonal skill that we're using is stating our purpose clearly and providing a compelling rationale. So instead of just telling the customer, hey, don't go there, you can say, hey, we want to keep our course in good shape, so please stick with our policy on not entering restricted areas. So the final result of the interaction is hopefully that the customer apologizes and obeys the restricted areas for the rest of the round. So as you can tell with directing strategy, the employee is telling the customer directly what needs to be done with no influence from the customer, hopefully. So convincing strategy has a little more initiative from the customer and should be used to come to an agreement on something. So in order to do this, you must be able to provide a compelling rationale and show understanding. So an example of that, I've had this happen with one of my students. You have a new student who brings her husband along for her lesson. He's very involved and likes to give his inexperienced input, which confuses her. You pull him to the side and inform him that she may do better one-on-one for the lesson, but that you will provide him with the things that she needs to work on so that he can help her practice after. So you're providing that compelling rationale by saying, you know what, you're still going to be involved. I'll give you the stuff she needs to work on, but right now, you know, it's one-on-one time. So your desired outcome is that he agrees with you and practices on his own, but again, giving him the knowledge to practice in between lessons. Okay, moving on to the involving strategy, which involves more participation from the customer, and the employee must encourage open expression. So now we're getting more into participation from the customer. So An example here is that a woman enters the golf shop and complains that we have a terrible selection of ladies' clothing and states that she would never buy anything here. Apologizing that we are not meeting her needs, you ask her what styles and colors she prefers to wear and let her know we'll try to fit her desires more with our next order. So again, you're asking her for participation, and you're showing understanding and encouraging that open expression. And I think that goes a long way with customers. I think they really appreciate when you ask them for their input, whether you want it or not. I think it's important to get that from them, and it really does help make you a better facility. So final result of the interaction is hopefully that she'll tell you about the brands at the course in Carlsbad that she loves, and hopefully she thanks you for considering her input. Okay, so moving on to our last strategy here, which is the supporting strategy. So this shows the most influence from the customer and the least amount of employee control. And this happens in some pretty tough situations that we've run into here. This one actually happened today. I made this probably a few months back, but this exact situation happened today. So Mr. Baker comes in halfway through his round to tell the manager that he has never seen such terrible pace of play and that he wants his money back. The manager explains that the staff did not notify all players that there was a junior event that day, but that he is very sorry for his negative experience. He offers Mr. Baker a 9-hole rain check to return another time. Luckily today we didn't have to give a rain check because he played in 2 hours, but just the fact that there was a junior event in front ruffled his feathers a little bit. So in this situation, we're apologetic towards what happened because it was slower play. So our desired outcome is commitment from that customer. So in order to have that customer be committed, we are issuing a rain check so that they can come back another time when hopefully there's not a junior tournament. So we're showing understanding, providing compelling rationale, and encouraging open expression. Final result of the interaction, he's feeling a little bit better about the situation, books a tea time for the following week. So you have that commitment from Mr. Baker. So again, very short presentation here. So I would like to open the floor with any questions, and also any shared experiences or wild customer relation stories that you might have and how you resolved them. So I'll give it back to Bryce if there's any questions.
Excellent. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and unmute everybody. So go ahead, and if you have anything, go ahead and shout it out here. Let's see. Looks like we got Edwin in here.
Hey, Nikki, this is Tom Parker.
Hi.
Hey, just a little bit of a question. You were talking about the involving strategy, that example of the lady who wanted the clothing, a better selection of clothing. One of the things I know that I've found in my facility as a private facility is that, yeah, I've actually done that, what you said, hey, tell me what you want and what you like, and, we'll try to make that happen on the next order. And then I go to my merchandising manager and, that merchandising manager says, no way we're doing that.
Yeah.
So we didn't follow through, and then the member came back, a couple of months later and said, I thought we talked about having this line of women's clothing. And I had to explain to her, I tried, so it was kind of embarrassing in that standpoint, and we didn't follow through with what I said. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I think with that, obviously you can't please everyone, unfortunately, but I think just the fact that, you explained to her, I took this to our merchandiser and unfortunately it doesn't fit, the brand or the season that we're going for, but we really appreciate your feedback. We'll keep it in mind for the following orders to come, or possibly offer special ordering, because a lot of times that whatever style that she wants might not be what we're going for in the shop, but we can definitely special order something. But just making sure that she knows that we care about her opinion and, her suggestions, and they were taken seriously. It wasn't just thrown out the window, and then we'll definitely consider them in the future. Is important for her to know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thanks.
Of course.
Hi, Nikki. This is Tom. I think your presentation getting better and better every time you do it.
Thanks, Tom.
I like the stories you tell, which is, I think it resonates with people if you tell stories to emphasize your points. And I think that's a point I want to make. You mentioned about the guy today coming in and saying, no, his pace play was slow, I want my money back. I think one thing that we all need to understand or get better is the right balance between what the customer wants versus, is that customer right or not in terms of what that person is saying. And I know that there's lots of times it's in the gray area, and it's really important for us PGA professionals to always be professional at the same time, be right. I think we got to make those tough decisions at times, and I think what you mentioned today was exactly on point in terms of we understand, but it's 2 hour nine holes, so I'll just give you a rain check, come back next time. I think those are things that we could always get better at, and I think that was a really good, valid story to show your point.
Yeah, and I guess to add on to that, it's funny that this happened today before this presentation, but it's important to follow up with facts too, and making sure that the customer, instead of just saying, no, you're wrong, you don't want to call your customer a liar, but we have GPS on our cart. So I was able to show them exactly where they were making the turn at 2 hours. And that definitely they were like, oh, okay. It just felt really slow because we were a twosome behind a bunch of walking foursomes. So, you're not trying to shoot them down and tell them they're wrong, but it's just, making sure you have those facts to back it up as well helps the situation. And one other thing I wanted to mention, something that we deal with being at a public golf course, is making sure you always back up your employees. With that same situation today, our starter was trying to, explain to them that, they played fast. No, we're not, don't be mad, but, most of the time you should be backing up your employees and, standing up for them. And I think that's huge, and that goes a long way. I know it's not really customer service, subject, but it is really important in customer service. If you have an angry customer that's, being rude to an employee, to make sure you always stand up for your employees and be as professional as you can be, but always make sure that you have their back as well.
Hey, Nikki, this is Ed Winecki. Great to meet you, and good job. There's a lot of people, a lot of our professionals that would love to follow your lead and your expertise with your customer service. You don't get to your position by mistake. You're very good at what you do, and I've seen your operation firsthand. So kudos to you for all you do every day, and your inspiration for so many professionals.
Oh, thank you so much, Ed.
One question for you is, it's hard. The hard customer service problems or the hard situations are always unique, and you come up with something. You probably see something you haven't seen every single day, right? I mean, something that maybe you haven't been trained for, or you're like, what? Gosh, I've been doing this for a while, and I've never seen this situation. I've never come across this. How would you handle a situation like that? That would be a one-timer, and even your years of expertise and being as good as you do. How would you handle that situation, and what advice would you give to maybe a young assistant pro if they're the only one standing in the shop and they come across a situation like this? What advice would you have for them in a situation like that, please? Sure.
Yeah. So I started here when I was pretty young. I was, I think, 22 when I started here, and I had no clue. I was super shy, even afraid to answer the phones. And, you learn a lot with experience, and it starts to become, the more awkward and one-off situations that you get put in, I think it makes you a better professional in the end. But more to your question, I think, we always tell our staff to trust your instincts, and you're not going to make the wrong decision. We'll support what decision you make, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. But again, I think just being put in those situations itself makes you a better person. I think, if you're standing by yourself and you don't know what to do, I would say you just need to trust your gut and, use common sense and what you think is right. We've had situations where we have, a staff member issue a refund when maybe they weren't supposed to, but in that moment he didn't have a manager present. And I think it comes down to management being, forgiving and making sure that, again, we support those decisions when, they have to feel empowered to make those decisions. So again, nothing that you do, I mean, it depends, but I think just trusting the staff to make the right decisions will make them feel more comfortable in doing that when they're put in those situations. Does that answer your question?
No, you did, and that was
okay.
Great, and I agree with you 100%. That was well said, and exactly right. You train your staff well enough to be in a position to make the best decision that they can at the time, knowing that we all make mistakes, we all fall off the horse, and we're going to get back on, and that's okay. But using their best judgment and adaptability at the time, I think, is fantastic. One other quick question, if you don't mind. Can you share one of your greatest success stories? I mean, it's you hear all these stories about, well, how did you fix this problem, or this went wrong and this customer's upset. Can you give us the other side of the coin? And just, you've had a lot of success stories and wonderful things that have happened to you. Can you tell us one example of an interaction that really left an indelible mark on you as a person in your career? Say, wow, that was one of those things that ever happened, or one of the nicest things, or what? Can you give us an example?
I mean, I can give kind of broad example of, one thing that I stand by, and that, I've told my employees as well, is, when you are kind to people and, you don't know what people are going through every day. And, especially at a public golf course, you get a lot of, grumpy folks and, it's different people that come in the door every minute. So you don't know what's going to walk in the door. And, I've had situations where people are having a bad day and they're super rude to any staff member, including myself. And, if you're just kind to them and kind of fill them with kindness, usually what happens is they come back and apologize to you, which, and sometimes people will say, I'm sorry, I had, my father passed away or something like that, where it's like, okay, like, I understand. So I know it's not one specific thing, but that's one thing that happens quite often where, if you're just kind and true to who you are, then usually people will come back and apologize. And it's okay if they don't either. You just have to remember that, they could be going through something that you don't know about.
Well, that's awesome. It just shows you have a servant's heart, and that you're in the right business because you always give other people first. So that's another example of how amazing you are and how lucky Arrowwood is to have you. So yeah, everybody that's on this call, I want to say how lucky you are to be on this call, because you're learning from one of the best. So thanks for
thank you, Ed. I appreciate it.
Mr. Edwin, Nikki, thank you for coming to join the call number one. I know I don't want to make this about Arrowwood, but to answer your question, I think Nikki's growth the last 4 years since I've been there, it's been pretty incredible. And I think one of the things that she's, it epitomizes Arrowwood is that obviously the kindness is there. You can see that, but she's getting tough, and I think that's what leader needs to be sometimes. And I think those tough decisions are hard to make, but she's making those tough decisions, and she's the face of Arrowwood. Like everyone, comes to Arrowwood. Where's Nikki? So it's been great to have her and see her leadership grow tremendously over the last 4 years, and she's gonna have a great career. So thanks for asking those questions, Ed.
Yeah, of course. And I think going off of that too, one of my biggest challenges, and I know for other younger professionals, including some of the associates we have here, it's really difficult as someone who's younger, even myself now, and then I'm, partially it's being female, but partially just who I am. I've always been pretty shy, and I think I've broken out of that a little bit, but you know, it's been really hard for me to be tough. And, you know, as a manager, you have to toughen up a little bit. And I used to beat around the bush a lot, and I still do every once in a while, but with customers and even employees, you know, you have to hold people accountable, and you have to be tough in certain situations. So again, that just comes with experience, in my opinion. The more situations I'm put in where I have to be tough and I'm forced to, the better I get at it. So yeah, it's just one little piece of advice for especially the younger professionals out there.
Hey, Nikki, or actually, we've got a couple of associates, I think 3 or 4 associates on the call, Danny, Michael, and Ho is what I'm looking at. Hey, do you three, you know, have any questions, or are there any issues you're dealing with in this particular module, this particular side, you know, questions or, you know, examples or something that you may have as you're going through the work experience portfolio? Okay, guessing not.
They got it. Yeah.
They've got it. One other thing that maybe I was thinking of as I was writing some notes down, Nikki, was the moments of truth, positive and negative. In your experience, you know, I know I'm about to ask, is either one more important than the other? And my sense is no, they're both important, positive moments of truth and negative moments of truth. But what's your take, you know, maybe on some of that? I've heard, you know, research that says, you know, a negative impression, the individual will tell 12 people. A positive impression, they'll only tell 5 people, or something like that, whatever. So just your thought on moments of truth,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think that both are very important. Again, we send surveys out after every single round, and I do think the negative moments of truth are important as well, because again, sometimes we have our blinders on and we try not to, but our customers will see things that, you know, we never see, whether that's, you know, trash that was in the parking lot, which we always, I mean, we try to catch that before it happens. But if a customer doesn't tell us their negative moment of truth, whether or not they tell 12 people or not, then we'll be able to fix it, and we'll be able to make it better for, you know, the future of players who come play, and we'll tell about the positive moments of truth to their friends. So, you know, obviously our job here and my job is to catch those things before they happen, and, you know, make sure we pick up trash in the parking lot and make sure we have signage on everything. But there's always going to be things that can be better. So I think having those negative moments of truth are just as important as the positive, so we can make ourselves better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nikki, I had one question for you too.
Sure.
So, you know, I spent some time, I worked at Pelican Hill, just in the cart barn. So kind of firsthand experience on, you know, a really customer focused, you know, centric environment. How do you know, how does your staff direct, you know, you talk about the moment of truth when you first make interaction with a customer as they're coming in for their round. Do you have guidelines that you give them for how to greet the customer and how to make them feel welcome?
So we don't have like specific greetings or anything like that. Just smile, you know, a smile goes a long way. If you see a customer walking in or coming in from around, you should always say hello. How are you? One of my big things, especially in the golf shop, is making sure that you, like, I never want to see a customer walk in and say hello first. I always want to make sure that the staff greets the customer before they have a chance to greet the staff. So that's one of my big pet peeves is when I see that. So, you know, just making sure that customer feels important, and making sure that they feel noticed is huge. We don't have specific, you know, prompts that they're supposed to say or anything like that. Just, you know, be yourself, but make sure you're doing it with a smile on your face, and being, again, kind to the customer.
Excellent. And then kind of following up on that, just areas, going above and beyond, going that extra mile sometimes. If you overhear a customer talking about, they're low on teas and you give them a big bag of teas or little things like that. Do you have any examples you can share of just little things like that?
Sure. Yeah, one of our employees, Todd, I know Aaron's on this call and Tom's on this call. I think he comes to my mind. He started in the cart barn. Now he's starter and teaching as well. So he's kind of our triple threat. But anytime, he sees, a lady or, maybe a junior, and he's got these colorful golf balls under his starter podium, he'll hand them to them and make them feel extra special. We have Mark, who works in the golf shop. He's great with customer service. Whenever he sees a kid, he pulls them to the side and shows them a magic trick. So, stuff like that, I think goes a really long way. And, everyone enjoys it, including the staff. We enjoy, making people extra happy. So little things like that do go a really long way.
Yeah, I love that. That's pretty special. Any more questions out there from our audience?
Oh, Bryce, I think you wrote a question.
Let's see.
Did you get that question from her, Bryce?
Oh, I just saw, I got a question, I'm not sure, yeah. For Mr. Nguyen about training, customer service training. We do have customer service training that our HR manager sets up for us, and Aaron, our head pro, had set up for us. Very formal training and, online videos, but we did have to take tests on that, which I think is important. And I think that all golf courses should do that, especially for those, we have kids in the cart barn who this is their first job, and they, we initially do the training, of course, but having that, very, I don't know what to say, like professional training through a third party is also super beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. During my time at Pelican, one of the things they did was they would have some of these ideas that you've kind of outlined here today, and they would actually print it out on a little card, and they would make us keep it in our pocket. And sometimes managers would come by and they'd ask you if you had the card, and if you didn't have the card, you'd be in trouble for the day, kind of thing. Drive home some of these ideas and just keep it front of mind, just those little things you mentioned as far as, going above and beyond the little special things, and, always being the first one to greet the customer, stuff like that. I think can go a long way.
Yeah, love it.
Also, just to, this is Aaron, just to chime in on Ho's question, I think that it really falls on the leaders of the golf course that kind of just talk to their employees every day and observe different conversations they have with customers and kind of challenge them to do different each time.
Yeah. Management by walking around, for sure, making sure we're listening in on those conversations is important.
Nikki, this is Ed. Can I make one more comment?
Yeah, of course.
So if you think back to, some of you put yourself in other people's shoes, and you've been to it, when you went to a restaurant, you went to a golf course, and you went away from that course, whether it's a club, private club or a public golf course or resort, and you thought, boy, that experience was fantastic. From the time I pulled in the parking lot till the time I went home, I kept saying to myself, I can't wait to go back. Mm-hmm. And I think, for me, that was what I used to teach my staff is that, think of it this way. If you're at a golf course, I mean, it's not the dentist office, right? Doesn't everybody want to be at the golf course? So when they're pretty happy to be there to begin with, we'd like to think, right? because they haven't made a double bogey yet. They haven't made a triple bogey. They're excited to be there. And so they pull in, they're very excited. You can't control how they play. So that's out of your control too. So everything between those 2 points and after those points, if they get, when they're done playing, if they're driving away thinking, wow, that was fantastic. But the things that you have control of, right? You've just made their day and they say, I can't wait to come back. I mean, that would be the goal. And that was what I used to teach my staff. When they drive out of that parking lot, the last thing you want on their mind is, I can't wait to come back here. And if you've accomplished that one way or another with your staff, I think that's the way to do it. And just the opposite is, you know, that if you went to a restaurant and it was your favorite restaurant and you had the best meal and it was a good price and gosh, this is the best meal I've ever had. But if you had a bad service, that ruined everything about the whole meal. And so, you know, you could play Augusta National, but if the service was bad, you say, Augusta's okay. I mean, that never happened. That's a bad example, but you know, if you showcase what you can do in your staff to raise the bar and to have people leaving saying, wow, that person made my day, whatever that was, I think that's the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. I think having an outsider's perspective is great because, you know, we come to work every day and we're not thinking about that. We're thinking, I need to clock in and do my job. You're not thinking about your experience if you were coming to Arrowwood as a customer. So I think that's an excellent point. I guess I'll add one more thing I just thought of. You know, I'm very lucky. Aaron and I are both very lucky to have Tom as our boss, and you know, he's done an excellent job in creating a family atmosphere. So I guess this is more into management advice, but you know, customers know when you have a happy team. They can definitely tell. So how you manage your team is very important with customer service as well, because I played a course recently, I'm not going to say where it was, but the team looked pretty miserable, and you know, you could tell and the customers can tell, and you know, customers don't appreciate that, and that probably is ingrained in their memory of playing that golf course as well. So you know, if you have a happy team, they're going to be smiling, they're going to be happy to be there, and that you know, customers notice that as well.
Yeah, I really like that thought, Nikki. You know, taking the blinders off and kind of putting yourself in the customer's perspective, and you know, seeing how the staff reacts, and even just little things, picking up trash in the parking lot, or other things you mentioned around the clubhouse. Just little things add up to a big, you know, a big number at the end if you just take it chunk by chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, any more thoughts or comments from the audience? Okay. Well, anything else you want to add here, Nikki? Parting words, parting thoughts?
No, just good luck to everyone. I'm excited to see all the PGA members pretty soon. So, and always feel free to reach out. I don't know if my email's on there, but you can find my email on our website. We have currently 3 PGA professionals, myself, Tom, and Steve, our director of instruction. Even our associates are, you know, Aaron's right behind us, so we're happy to help. You know, we've had a lot of associates come and do their lesson portion here at Arrowwood. We're happy to help with that as well. So anything you need, please feel free to reach out.
Excellent. Yeah, and this is, you know, the third part of an 8-part series, you know, for the Launchpad series here. So today's session has been recorded and it'll be uploaded onto the SCPGA YouTube channel. So anyone on here that wants to go back and rewatch this and pick up some more thoughts from the session, they can find that on the SCPGA YouTube handle. And can you send over the most updated deck there, Nikki, and I'll make that available to everyone.
Yeah,
as well. Sure. So we'll get that deck up for anyone who wants it. And thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing your expertise and your knowledge. And kind of like Ed put in the comments there, if you haven't been to Arrowwood, you definitely should. Really special
Thank you.
place. And, you know, like you said, the staff is happy and it shows, and it reflects
Yeah.
in the customer service. So keep up the great work over there, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Bryce, for doing this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yep. Thank you, Tom. And Tom, you guys are awesome. Thanks.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.